What's up, everybody? This is Jace and Cole from the Patriots Drive podcast here today, possibly discussing the rumors of Tom Brady's retirement after the Buccaneers suffered a 30-27 loss to the Rams. Cole, what are your thoughts on Tom Brady's rumors of retiring?
I think it's definitely, I'd say a little bit shocking. The the way he's been playing football the past few years, he's always said he wants to play till he's 45. He said earlier in the year he could play till he's 50 with Gronk, and I know that was semi joking, but I think that's something he could do if he wanted to. I think the biggest factor in this is his family. I mean, we've heard him talk about many different times how Giselle doesn't want him playing that long. How he cares about his kids, and his kids need some time, and they deserve for him to be a father and be in their life, which he is. But there's a lot of the time when you focus that much on a sport and you're in a deep grind of a season, it's tough to give the attention you need to your kids and your family. You're up late, you're traveling, you're doing all these things, and I think he's starting to get to a point where him and his family as a collective unit want to be together and spend more time together. I think he enjoys these off seasons together, and I think that's definitely probably the biggest factor. And that's what he's been talking about recently, is that his family. I know you have the quote, but he wants to spend more time with his family. And I think football is stopping him from doing that. I think he realizes that he's accomplished everything. I mean, he doesn't have anything left to prove. I know that's his mindset, that he always has something to prove, but he's accomplished everything and more. And his legacy is forever cemented in history. And he doesn't have anything else to prove. I think he just wants to spend more time with his family. And that seems like what his point is.
Yeah, on the Let's Go podcast that he does every Monday night, he said, "It pains me to see her being Giselle, his wife, to see me get hit out there, and she deserves what she needs from me as a husband, and my kids deserve what they need from me as a dad. Playing football, I get so much joy from it. I love it, but not playing football, there's a lot of joy in it for me also now too. With my kids getting older and seeing them develop and grow, so all these things need to be considered, and they will be. I think that Tom Brady's kind of getting to that point. Once your kids start growing up, they start doing a bunch of different things. You're missing out on activities, whether it's events, recitals, musics, anything, school. You start missing out on some of these stuffs, and it hits home. You start realizing that they're not young forever. They grow fast. Parents always say how fast their kids grow up, and they wish they could go back. So I think this is definitely hitting him. I don't think that it's anything to do with his level of play, because he's still playing at a very high level. He led the league in touchdowns. He led the league in yards this year. And he could play till he's 50 if he wanted to. I don't think anyone, especially Patriots fans, are doubting that he would play to 50 if he wanted to. I think that it's just become a little bit more real these last couple years, seeing his kids grow up and seeing his wife get more concerned, and she does have a lot of say in it, if he retires or not.
Yeah, I agree. And the level of play is certainly not a reason for retiring for him. He is still playing at a very high level. He's going to be finished second in MVP voting this year, like you said, led the league in passing yards and touchdowns. He was great this year. He really was. And that Bucs offense is stacked, but they had their fair share of injuries. AB was out most of the year, or a good chunk of the year. Gronk was out for a good chunk of the year with the rib injuries, and that was early on. So, I mean, he played a really good season, and there was some adversity. And I think if he wanted to, he could play till he's 50. I really do believe that. I don't think he'd be at the same level he is right now when he's 50, but he's in uncharted territory. We really don't know. Nobody thought he would be playing this well at even 40, and he's 44. He's about to turn 45. What's interesting to me and a little bit surprising is the jump that he made from, I definitely want to play till 45 and maybe I'm going to go till 50, to all of a sudden, we'll see how it goes. And to me, that's what's surprising. And that's why I think this really could have been his last game. I know he doesn't want to go out like that. It would have been great if he came back from 28-3 against the Falcons and then 27-3 against the Rams and went to the NFC Championship, all that stuff. But that's not how it went. And it's going to be interesting to see what he decides. I think him and his family are going to have a conversation. The level of play, I don't think, has anything to do with it. It's going to be about family and kind of the topic we'll touch on next, Bruce Arians. I think that might be something that's playing a factor into this. I think he started to realize this year that, hey, this isn't all it's cracked up to be. The Patriots, I was there for 20 years. I enjoyed it. There was the ups and downs, but I think he just thinks Bruce Arians is just a horrible coach. I honestly do. And I don't disagree. I think Bruce Arians, if he left and maybe they promoted Byron Leftwich or signed somebody else, I think maybe Brady would consider staying a little bit more. I do think the family plays a big factor, but I think Bruce Arians is something that not a lot of people are necessarily talking about in the factor of this. I think if Bill Belichick was coaching that Bucs team, they don't lose that game. I don't think they let up that big play to Cooper Kupp the last play of the game. It's just a horrible play call, horrible execution, and I think that's where you're starting to realize, hey, this is why we were so successful for so long, is because I'm so talented and Bill Belichick, the coach, is so talented. So it was a perfect match, a match made in heaven. They butted heads sometimes, but they made each other better, and they won a lot of Super Bowls and set a lot of records.
Yeah, let us know down in the comments below what you guys think it is, whether it's the family issues, whether it's Bruce Arians, maybe the Bucks potential roster, what it's going to look like. But I agree with you. I think that, him looking back at it and saying, hey, Bill Belichick was a great coach and we had our times, and he wasn't as public saying stuff against Tom Brady as we've seen with Bruce Arians the first couple of years that he's been there. Coming out and publicly ripping Brady after games and, saying some stuff that personally I don't think you should say about any player, let alone Tom Brady and the quality of player that he's been. He comes in, he leads your team to a Super Bowl right off the bat. So I think that he's kind of, like he said, the grass was greener on the other side for a little bit. Maybe now he's realizing that. So it sucks to see because he has one more year left on his contract. He signed that extension. That would be through his 45-year-old season. He will turn 45 in August before the season starts. So if he wants to live up to that initial goal, he kind of has to play this next season at the age of 45. And I think that he could definitely play at a high level still, but you're going to see a totally revamped Bucks roster. You're going to see Chris Godwin most likely gone. Jason Pierre-Paul is going to be a free agent. Ryan Jensen, the starting center. Ndamukong Suh. Rob Gronkowski was only on a 2-year deal when he got traded over. Fournette, OJ Howard, Ronald Jones. They have a lot of guys and they have cap space too, but I don't know if this team's a Super Bowl roster the way it sits right now. And you're possibly going to lose guys, Chris Godwin being the big one. And with no Antonio Brown, who's going to step in, be that wide receiver too, aside from Mike Evans. So I think he's looking at it, and you hinted at it where he said that the perfect way obviously would be to go out and win a Super Bowl. And I think a lot of people, especially Patriots fans, would want to see him win his 8th ring and go out on top. But with the state of this Bucks roster, I don't know if he can do that.
And that's one thing is, especially if he's going to sacrifice time with his family and all that stuff, he wants to be a Super Bowl contender every year. That's a competitor in him. He doesn't want to be anything other than first. And I don't blame him. So if he doesn't think that this roster and this coaching staff can get it done, and if he doesn't think he's going to enjoy the year, I don't think he's going to do it. It's crazy to say. I feel like he's going to miss the heck out of it. I feel like he's going to want to be involved somehow. But I don't blame him. I mean, he's 44 years old. He's been in the NFL 20 something years. It's a lot of missed time with family, your wife, your kids, all that stuff. So I really wouldn't blame him. But I think it's a great point about the Bucks roster. They got, like you just mentioned, all those free agents. You're not going to be able to bring them all back. And how are you going to add somebody? I mean, you're going to have to. Some position is going to be lacking if you're bringing in another good receiver or something like that, or you try to re-sign Chris Godwin, whatever it is. But that Bucks cap situation is not going to be great. They're not going to be the same team. They're going to lose some guys, maybe be worse than this year. But they had some injuries this year that made them the level of play that they're at right now. So some of the injuries hurt them. If they weren't injured throughout the year, maybe still had AB healthy, all that good stuff, that maybe it'd be a different situation. But if he doesn't think he can't compete, I don't think he's going to be back.
Yeah, if you keep Antonio Brown insane and Chris Godwin is still healthy, you might be looking at them hosting the NFC Championship game right now. But he lacked talent, and it doesn't look like Chris Godwin's coming back. Hopefully, there's a way that he can be a Patriot. That would be phenomenal. But there's a lot of other issues around that. But it looks like they're going to lose him. Now there's going to be more attention at Mike Evans if Gronk doesn't come back. There's a lot of question marks with this team, and I think that's going to play into a fact too, because like you mentioned, he's not just going to want to go out there and get bounced in the wild card weekend or the divisional round again. He's going to want to compete, especially if he knows it's his last year. He's going to want to go out on top. So I think that the other question you asked to this, and the other half that a lot of Patriots fans are asking, is if we did just watch him play his last game, how likely is it that he hangs it up as a Patriot? Does he sign a one-day contract and retire as one? How likely do you see that happening?
I really hope he does. I think it's pretty likely based off his comments after the game that they won. He said he's going to be a part of this community forever. He's going to be back involved once he's retired and all that stuff. So I hope that means retiring a Patriot. That would mean the world to Patriots fans, and I hope it'd mean the same to him. I think he meant so much to this organization, this fan base, this city, this region, this area. I mean, everything in New England. For me personally, he's been everything I've known in football. He's been in the NFL ever since I've been alive. So this guy has contributed so much to the game, and just so many different players, coaches, just everybody. He's put so much into it. So I hope he retires a Patriot. I think it'd mean a lot to a lot of people. And I think that'd be a great way to go out.
Yeah, I think that the way that he went out previously going to Tampa Bay, you know, a lot of people thought there was hard feelings. We all know Robert Kraft loves him and he loves Robert Kraft, despite the feelings that there are for Belichick, whether we know the whole thing or not, whether they, you know, can't stand each other, they are have a professional relationship or what. I think a lot of Patriots fans in the organization and outside the organization, that would be a dream come true, right? I mean, we don't want Brady to be remembered as a Buccaneer, and a part of his legacy will be a Buccaneer, but Tom Brady made the Patriots. The Patriots wouldn't have been the same without him. We would all love to see him retire a Patriot. And if we did see him play his last game, we want him to, you know, come back home and at least retire where hopefully they build a statue for him outside the stadium.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I hope that's how it goes down. I don't know. It's going to be weird. I'd love to see him keep playing. Selfishly, just the NFL without Tom Brady is going to be so weird. But I mean, you really never know. I mean, we just saw Sean Payton retire, maybe temporarily, maybe not. Aaron Rodgers is contemplating his future. He might retire. There's question marks at a lot of different places in the NFL right now, and a lot of players. Big Ben's gone. We could see Big Ben, Brady, and Rodgers along with Sean Payton all gone in the same year, and that's tough. That's a whole generation of really top tier elite quarterbacks, and that meant a lot to the game and set a lot of records. So it's going to be tough to watch if he's gone, but I'm going to forever be grateful for what he did, and I hope he's involved somehow in the Patriots organization and the fan base once he's gone. So if he does decide to leave, I think it's going to be the reasons we laid out. I think it's going to be family. I think it's going to be the coaching staff and the environment at the Bucs. I think he doesn't like it as much as he used to. Seems like he's not as happy as he was the first year. I think Bruce Arians is starting to wear on the style of coaching. Him throwing digs and throwing shade at Brady, I don't think he liked that. I mean, as much as Belichick probably crapped on Brady in front of his teammates or whatever, that's in the locker room. You know what I mean? That's everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. If you make a mistake, he's going to show it on the board and he's going to show it on film and correct it and make you better. But he's not going to blast his players to the media and all that stuff. That's just not who Belichick is. And I think Brady at least respected that. And I think he learned a lot from being part of the Bucs for just a 2-year period, and that this isn't where he'd want to be for 20 years. So that's just my 2 cents. I think the roster, Bruce Arians, and family would be a big part of why he'd leave if this was his last game.
For sure. Well, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, comment on this video. We go live every Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Follow us on IG. Our IGs are right by our names and below our pictures for more Patriots content. And we will be bringing you guys more clips like this and live videos all throughout the offseason for discussions for you guys. So thank you guys. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you later.